Welcome, everyone. I'm now calling this meeting to order. Please stand with us. We'll be led in prayer this evening by Pastor Nathaniel Urshan of Heritage Christian Life Center. Please remain standing after that for the Pledge of Allegiance. That'll be led by me.
Great God of heaven and earth, we come before you tonight humbly to ask that you be with us as we make decisions and as we do the best that we can to conduct the business of this community. It's a turbulent time in our nation, in our region. There are challenges, there are difficulties. It is also a good time with many advancements and many great opportunities that present themselves. We pray for wisdom. We pray for guidance, providence, and understanding as we grapple with the issues that face us. Ramifications that have far-reaching implication. Help us with them, God. Be with us. We trust you, we believe in you, and we come before you humbly, asking that you guide our decisions and our thoughts. In the mighty name of Jesus we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor. First on the agenda is approval of minutes for the October 16, 2018 meeting.
Mr. Mayor, making a motion to approve the minutes from the previous meeting as presented.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Kelly, second by Alderman Wheeler. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Hoop.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries. Next on the agenda is the Urban Arc Standard Form of Agreement for the City Hall renovation, Phase 1. Mr. Nick Manley.
This is the AI agreement with Urban Arc to authorize them, or authorize the mayor to sign to allow Urban Arc to design and do the construction, the bidding, construction, and overseeing the construction as well for the City Hall renovations. Worked with Brian Buller with Urban Arc on the agreement, made a couple tweaks to it, which Urban Arc's agreed to, and Urban Arc has signed the agreement, and tonight bring it for your approval for the mayor to sign with the City Hall renovations. So Urban Arc can be the consulting architect for this project. The fee will be the 6% of the purchase price of the estimated cost, and that will be which is in the contract as well. And tonight authorize the mayor to sign and answer any questions you may have.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Gallagher, second by Alderman Hoots. Is there any discussion?
Is this for construction as well?
Yes. Yes.
Will it come before us during the phases of construction, sir, or will it just all be?
Well, it'll be bid, and then when the bid, it'll come back to you to accept the bid.
This contract will include all the procurement services and construction services oversight.
And this is all the what we went over the last board meeting on display. This is Phase 1 that was in that presentation.
But no, this is just for phase 1, not for the other phases, or is this for all of it?
This is just for Phase 1, but as I mentioned last time, we believe we can do Phase 1 and be good for a while.
Okay.
I mean, there are some other things that we'll gradually need to do that can't be done at one time, like some of the wiring, some of the heat and air stuff. You know, we wouldn't do all that at one time anyway, so we're going to break that up. But we think that we can do that without having to, you know, that could be somewhat absorbed in the yearly maintenance budget. So there could be some other phases, but the majority of this will be done with Phase 1.
Okay.
because we're eliminating, if you see the board, I don't have it on the screen overhead, but the board on the easel, that shows that we eliminated so much of the exterior. You know, we looked at adding brick, and we realized after doing that wow, it looked good like that. So we're saving a lot of costs by keeping it much simpler renovation on the exterior. So that's cutting out, you know, potential future phases. I believe with phase one, that's going to knock out 75% of what needs to be done.
Okay.
And just so you know, they'll come back to you again with a low bid, and that'll be awarded at a later date. So tonight it's just getting Urban Arc authority to go ahead and get the design and go to bid. We'll go to bid, and then once the bids come back to the board with the low and best bid. So tonight, authorization to sign the contract, and I'd also go ahead and make a motion to go to bid, so we don't have to come back again to do that. We can do it all at once, and then come back to the board once they have the low bid.
Does Joel need to amend the motion?
Yes, sir. I should have made that clear, but yeah, to amend the motion, if you will, to authorize, sign the contract and going to bid.
I'll amend the motion as he stated.
And I'll second.
Okay, we have an amended motion by Alderman Gallagher, second by Alderman Hoots, and I do have Mr. Brian Bullard in the audience with Urban Arc. If anyone has any questions about what's in phase one, he's available for any questions as well. Any discussion or questions?
I just want, for clarification purposes, the 6%, is that going to be of the estimated part, or is that not going to be done until the construction is done?
It's
Based on the budget.
Yeah, it's based on the budget.
Construction.
Yeah, and it paid, and correct me if I'm wrong with this, Brian, it's paid in phases. So once it's done through the typical phase of 10% at one point, 15% at the next point, and so there's check marks or checkpoints all the way through when it's paid. And that's in accordance with how the previous contracts we've done as well.
Okay.
So I think what you're saying is like, if we did have other phases, we're not paying all of it up front. Is that what you're, kind of what you want to know?
Yes, and just wanted, like, for example, if the construction came in a lot less, do we pay based off the construction, or is it just the estimated value?
You pay off the estimated budget most of the time.
Okay.
Is there any other questions for Mr. Bullard or any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Hoots.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
Okay, and that motion carries. Next on the agenda is the Senate Bill 2002, the MOU with the Mississippi Department of Finance Administration.
Yeah, this is the MOU to receive the funds that were allocated in Senate Bill 2002, the $500,000. As part of receipt of that money, I think it's earmarked for Carriage Hills and Greenbrook infrastructure improvements. And so tonight, bring this in front of you for the board's approval for the mayor to sign. The Department of Finance Administration is wanting or is requiring memorandums or MOUs for every city and entity to sign, which gives stipulations to the money as far as the bidding process, the award process, and then updates that will be given to the DFA for use of the money. Chris, obviously, is not here tonight, but he's already talked to the DFA, and part of our, we already have a contract in place to allow for certain overlays and projects for pavement projects. And so I think the goal was to get the DFA to be able to accept the fact that we already have that low bid and get that to them. Chris got positive feedback from them at the very initial call. But tonight, just for the purposes of now, that's just kind of update of where it is tonight. You get authorization for the mayor to sign the MOU and authorize any and all signatures and actions for receipt of the money going forward, because I'm talking with Chris, there'll be W-2s to sign, there'll be other updates to give for the documents, so that way we don't have to wait, and we can streamline it as fast as possible to not get authorization to sign the MOU and any and all documents and actions required or needed by the DFA for the funding.
I'll make said motion.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Flores, second by Alderman Kelly, and I'll add to that, I did speak to the Department of Finance Administration as well, and basically the information that they gave us, we initially thought that this was going to be a reimbursement type thing where we'd go in and pave the streets and they would reimburse us after the fact, but they did tell us that that's not the case at all, that they want to know, like, you know, the schedule of, that the money's gonna be applied as submitted by the bill, but that we submit the application and the MOU, and then we'll receive the money in advance of when the work is done. So that's a little different. And if y'all will recall, we already had these streets on our list, our street improvement schedule for Carriage Hills and Greenbrook. They were already on our schedule. We plan our street improvement schedule 3, sometimes 4 years out. So these streets were already on there. So with this money that has to be allocated there, that frees us up to be able to do some other streets in other areas. So, but anyway, that schedule was already set. If someone asked about, you know, which street you spend the money on, that was already prepared. We already had way more than $500,000 scheduled for Carriage Hills and Greenbrook. Any other discussion?
Which increases our allotment for next year to 2.5 million.
2.5, yeah. Okay, any other discussion about that? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman who?
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries. Next on the agenda is a franchise agreement with XO Communication Services.
There's no action for this tonight, it's just authorization to put the franchise agreement in the clerk's office for 2 weeks. Under the state law, when you have a franchise agreement, it has to be on file with the clerk's office for 2 weeks before it can be approved. At XO Communication, we've been going back and forth with them probably for 6 to 8 months. They have made their changes required, or we requested in the franchise agreement, which is in front of you tonight. They're going to be providing the business and government customers voice and data communication services, internet services, private line service, and cell site front haul and back haul capacity using fiber optic cables, and leasing of conduit and dark fiber to third parties, as well as future services when become available. As part of this, they'll be either underground or on poles already. There's going to be no standing structures outside of those. So tonight, no action, just putting on the minutes that we did put in the clerk's office, and it'll be brought in front of you at the next board meeting for approval.
Okay.
Is there a motion?
No, sir, you don't have to do anything. Just note on the minutes that we've got it on the.
Okay, we got that noted? Ms. Noted? Okay, so we can move on to the next one.
Yes, sir.
Okay, next on the agenda is resolution to amend City Ordinance Title 9, Chapter 1, Section 9 through 11.
This ordinance is just being amended to allow for, it currently does not allow for overnight parking or parking that is causing issues, if you will, for lack of better terminology, on property. This will allow for this to apply to city property as well. I think there have been some 18-wheelers or bigger trucks parking at the building at State Line Road, which was obviously not overnight, which was not conducive for the pavement and or other areas within the city. So this amendment will also allow for the overnight parking issues and the trespassing parking, if you will, to apply to city property in the same area it would apply to private property after the warning's been given, after the sign's been noted, for those type of issues when you have parking that would inhibit or cause issues for the pavement on city property. So that's what this ordinance does tonight, and the amendment to it does. And it allows for the signs to be put up in accordance with the ordinance as done on private property as well.
I will make that motion.
I'll second it.
We have a motion from Alderman Flores, second from Alderman Gallagher. Is there any discussion?
I got one quick question, Dick. Would this apply like to private parking lots of convenience stores that are allowing people to park overnight with their 18-wheelers and stuff?
If they wanted to. Now, this is only if if there's a lease or something like that between the, if there's an arrangement with the 18-wheeler or something like that, that's between the private property owners. But if the private property owner posts the signs, like in accordance with this ordinance, it does prohibit it if the private property owner does want to adhere to the ordinance.
Okay. We've got some issues over there in Ward 2 with that happening over there. I think they've moved out of the neighborhood because they can't park in the neighborhood, but they've now just found, convenient parking lot, that kind of stuff, so.
Yes, and there's if the private property owner does not want to or is having issues with it, there is a room in the end of this ordinance for them to put the sign up, and then that can then be prohibited at that point.
Thanks.
Any other discussion? And I will add to that, just, you know, it's undesirable, you know, for city property just as it is. And like you have examples that you see, we've had others, Alderman Flores throughout the city, and I know we've had a recent problem on city property where there's been a large amount of parking like that. So the same problem exists for both public and private. So. Any other discussion?
Thank you, Ordinance Committee, for addressing this issue.
Okay, roll call, please.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman who?
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries. Next on the agenda is a contract with Argo Entertainment for the July 4th, 2019 fireworks event.
Yes, so this is obviously the contract with Argo Entertainment. They'll be the ones who they are the entity that did it last year for the July 4th, and the cost is $20,000, the same we paid as last year, which is a savings of what we previously were paying. I talked to Wes. He highly recommends that everything went well last year with them. It's a sponsorship. They take over everything, and they handle it all for us. So I think Olive Branch and Horn Lake and Southaven, I think all three are using Argo now at this point. I think they've done such a good job for everyone. So tonight, authorization for the mayor to sign the contract with Argo and answer any questions you may have on the contract. It's very similar to the contract. It's the same contract with one or two little small adjustments that we had last year with Argo.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Wheeler, second by Alderman Kelly. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman who?
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries. Next on the agenda is a resolution to amend the city handbook.
Yeah. Chris obviously couldn't be here again, and I thought I'd handle it since he couldn't be here, but this is just two amendments. One of them's in section E, which applies to major medical leave. It seeks to clarify the language of hours worked. When medical leave accumulates, basically it's changing it so the intent does not punish employees for taking earned leave or funeral leave, but not allowing their major medical leave to accrue while on that leave. So it's a benefit to the employee to allow them to not have to accrue medical leave when in those type of situations, and it goes into your hours work definition. The second amendment is also going to be section X regarding the Law Enforcement Appreciation Act. Basically, under that, we passed that in 2014 based on the state law allowing for that, but this leave will benefit now under the Law Enforcement Appreciation Act. The leave benefit that is being received will cease once the employee, the law enforcement employee, or the employee who's getting the benefits ceases to get workers' compensation, which is also in accordance with the statute. So both changes are recommended by Chris. They're in the resolution. I'll be happy to try to answer any questions you may have.
So moved.
We have a motion by Alderman Flores, second by Alderman Wheeler. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman who?
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries. Next on the agenda is a resolution for authorization for grinder pump installation.
Yeah, these are grinder pumps that we've been doing, and I think it's just under the AG opinion, we decided it would be best to put these on the minutes, but this resolution will allow for grinder pumps to be installed at certain addresses and certain residents who do want it, which allow those residents to connect to the city sewer. So the resolution will authorize the grinder pump to be installed, assuming that the customer wants it, along with the city procuring the necessary easement to install the grinder pump, so that it could connect to the city sewer. It's one of our, once we annex or certain areas, that this is the best way to get sewer to. So this is what this project's about. And there are multiple ones throughout the city, so those are coming to you not on a consistent basis, but on a regular basis, if you will. So.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Gallagher, second by Alderman Kelly. Is there any discussion?
Does the homeowner pay for the pump?
No, sir, we pay for the pump, and then once we pay for it, they are billed, obviously, on the sewer. Yes, sir. And there's been some situations where if we provide the sewer there and the homeowner, it's, been a while, and the homeowner doesn't want to hook up under the state law and AG opinions and the AG opinions of the city along with the Supreme Court, we do have the authority to charge that person as if they are receiving sewer. Now, we haven't done that, it's my understanding, it hasn't been a huge issue at this point, but there are circumstances where the homeowner who doesn't want to hook up can be charged, because the sewer has been made available. But we pay for everything getting it there and to the sewer pump station, that's the demo for that, so.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Hoots.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries. Next on the agenda is a bid award for Shapiro uniforms for the Southaven Fire Department.
Chief Scaggins is here for this, any questions we have, but this is authorization to allow for a 3-year bid contract to Shapiro uniforms for the purchase of new uniforms. It went to bid. Shapiro, like I said, the order company is the only responsive bid we had. So tonight's recommendation from the fire department is to allow for Shapiro uniforms to be awarded the low bid for the 3-year for the for the fire department uniforms, based on their bid, on the low bid we received.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Flores, second by Alderman Wheeler. Is there any discussion?
This was reverse auction?
So yes, sir.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries. Next on the agenda is a resolution for the Southaven Police Department surplus.
Mayor, I think we skipped 13, accept the donation.
My bad.
I'm sorry, yeah.
Okay, let me back up. 13 is a resolution to accept donations.
This is a rarity to us, but somebody wants to donate an RV to the animal shelter to be used. And I've talked with Perry and Bradley, that both can be, it is needed and it can help. And so tonight, take authorization and resolution to accept the donation, take those actions necessary for them to tag the vehicle or the RV for the asset number and everything under the resolution, so it can be a donation to the city.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Flores, second by Alderman Kelly. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Hoots.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries. Next on the agenda is a resolution for the Southaven Police Department surplus.
It's just a resolution to surplus vehicles that are no longer operable or usable by the Southaven Police Department in accordance with 172525.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Kelly, second by Alderman Wheeler. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Hoots.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries. Next on the agenda is a resolution regarding private property.
Mr. Mayor, make a motion for the resolution granting authority to claim private property as presented on this date.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Kelly, second by Alderman Hoots. Is there any discussion among the board? Hearing none, is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak that has a financial interest in any of the properties? Hearing or seeing none, roll call, please.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Hoots.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries. Next on the agenda is a request for bids for city entrance signs. Ms. Whitney Cook.
Yes, sir. We did get our bid specs together for the city entrance signs. One specifically what we would call the interstate sign, which is the taller one. We have some arch signs that we've designed for district areas. and smaller city entrance signs for that. We're requesting to go to bid for the larger interstate sign and 2 of the arched signs. Hoping for one right here at Northwest Drive, State Line and 55, and also one at Goodman and Getwell, or possibly changing that one out to 51 and Star Landing. And then the larger city entrance sign, we're trying to work an easement with a property owner just north of Star Landing on the west side of 55, so it can be seen from the interstate. But we're requesting to go to bid with these specs.
I'll make that motion to go to bid.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Flores, second by Alderman Gallagher. Is there any discussion?
So we're thinking of moving the one on Goodman and Getwell?
Well, no, we won't move it, we're just trying to look at different options. It depends on where they come in at. If you bid more together, obviously they're cheaper. We have a specific budget, so the most we can get with that budget, we'll do. But the mayor and I talked about is trying to do 2 of the arch signs and the 1 large interstate sign. We do know we prefer the one showing Southaven right here at 55 and State Line as being one.
Right.
And then the other option was either 51 and Star Landing, which is our southern border entrance, or the Goodman and Getwell area to do the Snowden District sign. So that's, it will be one or the other.
Where would you think about putting it at the Goodman and Getwell area?
Right there in front of the lake,
Oh,
or
yeah.
the pond, the pond, the water
And
feature.
the priority is, like we talked about before, the priority is to get the interstate first.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, so we run into some problems along the way. We've been working on this for a while, but we feel like with the City Hall renovation, we can put a sign on the 1-story area that points towards the interstate, so that's going to be a good welcome sign. But we also wanted to take the southwest corner of I-55 and State Line. MDOT owns that property. They just told me recently that they would give us an easement for that. So we'd like to put the arch sign, the curved sign right there. When you come off the southbound ramp, you'd be facing it. So it's a grand entrance to the city on State Line Road. So those are the ideal places. And then the Star Landing property on the south side, which would give us the southern I-55 entrance sign, but that is pending on a pending sale. So we don't know for sure yet. That's why Whitney's proposing that we go ahead and bid 3 of them, because it may be that if we don't get the one on the I-55 south, we'll go ahead and either move to the next 2 on the list, which either be Goodman and Getwell or 51 and Star Landing.
Sure.
And at 51 and Star Landing, if you'll just visualize with me for a second, if you're coming from Hernando going north on 51, when you get to Star Landing at the light right there, if you look just diagonal to your right on that northeast corner, that's where you'd have a curved sign right there, that welcomes you to the city there. It's a great place for a monument sign there. So we don't know the exact locations until we get some solid answers from MDOT and the property owner on at Star Landing and 55.
About what are they costing per sign? Do we know?
They were, well, what was it, 80, one of them is more than the other, one of them is 81 and one of them is 60.
Right, the larger one, surprisingly enough, to both the mayor and I, the larger one on 55 was cheaper than the arch sign, specifically because there's a lot of limestone in the arches. We've just got an estimate right now, but that was per sign. Obviously, that's more expensive if you bid them out per sign. That's why we're trying to bid them out as a package to get a cheaper deal. But like the mayor said, I think the arches were running around 81, and the huge entrance sign on 55 is around 67. So hopefully, if we get them all together, we can get both of those lowered. But we'll come back with the lowest bid when we get to that
And
point.
these are lit signs too, aren't they?
No, well, they're brick and mortar, they're brick and limestone, etched limestone. They do have the capabilities to have some uplights, landscape uplights in them, and they'll have some beds around them. But to be internally lit at any point, no.
Well,
You don't have landscaping, yeah, not lights in the sign. It's going to be etched, like Whitney said, etched in limestone, but you would have the capability to put landscaping lights, shine up the front of them.
Right.
Are we planning on doing that? Is that part of the thing?
Yes.
Yes.
Certainly. And to do landscaping around it too, we'll make it look really nice, but, yeah, this is not this is a nice sign.
The one you talked about on 51 in Star Landing, I know that's a potential, moving. Are we gonna have it set where when they end, I'm sure at some point in time they're gonna widen that,
We'll pull it outside the right of
Yeah,
ways.
you have to pull it out. MDOT's not gonna give you an easement. They're gonna make sure that they leave enough right of way for any kind of future expansion. So it wouldn't be right on the road. You need it out of the way for visibility as
Right.
well. But there's a large amount of room, like when you look to that northeast corner, there's a large amount of room, so you'd bump it back. But with the size of it, it's gonna be highly visible, even off the interstate.
Yes, and MDOT's looked at all the location and has actually given us the permits for all 3 locations that we talk about for the arch signs.
Can we tonight approve that you I mean, I know we're trying to get the best price, but we've got like, what, 5 locations we'd like to put them, right? Is that what it is?
Well, yeah, we have
Yeah, we-
numerous locations, but we didn't budget for all that.
I was gonna say, can we put the bid out and kind of see what, I mean, we may get a heck of a deal if we do 5, you know, that it may.
Well, the only problem is we know we don't have the money to do them all, so that would be, Nick, that wouldn't work with it.
Well, even if you did 5 and they came back in the budget, they're not gonna look as nice as that, and you're cheapening the end product.
Well, what I was just saying is maybe, you know, since you said they may cut us a better deal, would it, could be like,
No contractor is gonna give us 5 signs for the price of 3.
well, you know.
You're just saying, do we get economies
Yeah.
of scale?
Yeah,
Do we get a better rate if we
Yeah,
do more?
let's see, you know, if we do 4, we get this, if we do 5, we get this.
Right, but the only thing is, that's my question for Nick, like, let's say we did what Alderman Hoots is talking about, and we did get a better price, but then we know budgetarily, we only decide to do a number, not all those. So they would go ahead and get started, and it could be 2 or 3 years down the line before they do the others. And I'm sure they wouldn't honor that price for that amount of time.
Usually the price is honored for a time period, so I don't know how long they would honor the price, but usually it's 60 to 90 days most of the time for those type of bids. So, I mean, that'd be the issue, is if you went to bid and you didn't get the price in, and you got the prices you like, but how long will they honor it, I guess would be the thing. You could put a stipulation in your bids, how long you have to honor it, but I don't, that becomes an issue of how long. If you say you got to honor your price for 2 years, I don't know if people will actually bid on that, so that'd be the other issue too.
I get what you're saying, you're just trying to look for economies of scale to get a better price doing more. But we know that we don't have enough money to do, I mean, it's gonna come back obviously less when you're doing more, because you're making, you know, more competition for the bid, but it's still not gonna be enough to do all the ones that we have on the list. So I wouldn't wanna put something on the list knowing we don't have the money budgeted for that. But I think 3 is a pretty safe amount based on the general idea we have on the cost.
Yeah, I think we can cover that, and you also have to take into account, that's the estimate for the actual construction of the brick and mortar sign. That doesn't take into account the lighting and the landscape that goes around them, so we have to allow some you know, maneuverability of the funds to get that around it as well. So I think 3 signs is a good number, and then, you know, at least if we go back out to bid, say, you know, fiscal year 2020, we've already got the specs done, so that's no harm, no foul on cost to get the design redone. And then the people who come to bid on these are usually gonna be the same people, so they can come back and have better knowledge of what it took, and it may go down on us anyways.
And from a priority standpoint, that's why I recommend starting here. We wanna, you know, we're trying to dress up the original business district in our city, so that's why we wanna start. We were told no initially by MDOT. There was some legislation that occurred that caused some confusion about putting these signs up next to a federal highway system. And, but I just got a ruling back, or a conversation back from Commissioner Taggart recently that we're okay to go on it. So that's where we want to start with, is in our original business district. That's why we want to start right here at State Line 55. And then, you know, getting the interstate visibility is the biggest concern, because so many people, you know, get their first impression on the interstate. So that's why I wanted to get the southern entrance there at Star Landing and 55 to be the second choice. But then we'll just go down from there. Like we have in the plan to eventually do Goodman Getwell, Star Landing in 51 like we talked about, but then also at Church in 55, you have 4 great corners right there. You know, we just added the Metropolitan District recently, so we'd love to have the curved signs on all 4 corners of the ramps that indicate that it's a Metropolitan District. We think that would really go a long way in beautifying that area as well. But as you can see, that's something we'd have to spread out over several years because of the cost of it. Okay, is there any other discussion? And on the designs, I put that on the board in previous meetings, but, or do we have anything in color? I don't know, I think this had who's the mystery person working the show back there? Y'all corrected me last time because I said Michael.
No, we don't have
Cameron?
anything with color.
Okay. We do have, I've had these up in the past, but I can provide these in color to show you like what it's designed to look like in color. But they're beautiful, and to say there's been a lot of thought that's gone into this is the understatement of the decade. So they're going to be beautiful, beautiful signs. But if y'all want to see a picture of that, remind me and I'll email it back to you. Okay, is there any other discussion?
So, I just want to make sure, so so this is the design that we've decided to go with. What have we, you know, to Alderman Hoots' point, what have we requested a bid with alternates and see if they came in with the budget?
You mean a different design?
Maybe, I mean,
Well, the only negative of that is you're getting into, you're redesigning it. We hired an architect. We hired Urban Art to design these, and they did a fantastic job. And that's why I say these are not your typical, let's take a sign up. These things are, I mean, we paid Urban Art to design them.
Okay.
So you would just, you would get into more expense if you went back and started redesigning them. And it wouldn't be my recommendation that we cheapened it. I would rather go slower and let them be grand where they are
Okay.
than to do more and let them be cheaper.
Well, yeah, and if you go through alternate designs and try to lessen the cost, the materials end up being, they can do CMU block on the inside and put like thin brick or veneer brick up it, which obviously has maintenance issues, it falls off. It is a cheaper model that gets you looking the same way, but nonetheless, that's what we run into if we start trying to find a way to alter the design and lessen the cost, so.
And we want it to be durable too. We plan for the signs to be up for many, many years, so we want them to be built right and strong.
Didn't it have like green and different, I remember seeing it. It was
We
like.
were all over the place for a
Yeah.
while.
I mean,
It is just a
I can
tradition.
assure you there's never any green.
No, there's
Well,
no
I was
green.
thinking, I thought it had like a dark green trim or something like that, or something in it or something.
It's like a dark bronze and almost a black ironwork was done on it at one point in time. The
There was a
majority of it's
bridge
brick and-
concept. At one time, there was a bridge concept, and it's evolved beautifully. It's come a long way since the initial idea.
Back to limestone and brick.
Okay.
But there wasn't green, but there were some different looks.
Yeah, I was thinking it was nice looking, I remember noticing that.
Yeah.
And then I noticed you have the pitch on top of the columns and stuff. I think that was a discussion there for a while, and that kind of thing.
Well, we added, if you look at the indentions on the top of the brick columns, it just makes it more ornate. And so we added some ornate details when Mr. Bullard took it. He put some other things in it just to, dress it up, make it look more ornate. So some of that was not in there initially. You'll see on the brick columns, that's a city seal that would be inserted in like some type of metal, so that would be seal on the sides. And then obviously the bottom piece is going to have the slogan of Top of Mississippi. And then we elected to go with bold, just have the word Southaven rather than, as you know, some cities will have welcome to and home of, things like that. We just felt like we felt like it was classy, just a better look to be bold and have Southaven in all caps like that.
I think it's awesome.
Thank you, I do too. Whitney, you,
I love it.
She would.
does it meet your standards?
I love it.
All right, was there any other discussion before we move on? Hearing none, on item 16, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries. And next on the agenda is our planning agenda.
Our first application is for subdivision approval of Rasco Hills Section I. This is going to be on the south side of Stateland Road, east of Hornlink Road. 14 lots ranging in size from 7,200 to 14,000. This is part of an original PUD you'll see up here. It was approved in the early 2000s. It is compliant with the size lots, heated square footages, and the overall street layout that it provided. You'll see a lot of floodway and floodplain over there. It is not incorporated into it. There are no common open spaces in this section, so there's no maintenance issues with it. The Planning Commission voted unanimously in favor of it.
She would.
I'll make a motion, we approve this.
So item number 1.
Yeah, item number 1, planning the agenda.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Hoot, second by Alderman Wheeler. Is there any discussion on item 1? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Hoot.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
Okay, and that motion carries.
Item number 2 is a request for subdivision approval for the Wiseman subdivision. Parcel is approximately 45.7 acres. It's requesting to subdivide it into 6 lots ranging in size from 4 acres to 25 acres. It's on Lester Road. It is a major subdivision, but all lots will have access to Lester Road, so there's no city roads that will have to go through there to bond out. The right-of-way dedication for Lester Road has been set at 80 foot. Building setbacks are shown in the general notes. Going through the planning commission, the applicant actually asked, normally we would put it in a PUD format to do these stipulations, but he asked to put in the general notes himself, that there be no chain link fences, no mobile homes, and a minimum heated square footage of 2,000 for the 6 lots. Planning commission agreed to that and approved it with those stipulations.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we approve item number 2 on the planning agenda.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Flores, second by Alderman Wheeler. Is there any discussion on item 2?
What will this be zoned at?
It's zoned as ag, it will remain as ag. There's 2 ways you can do a subdivision agricultural zone. It's minor or major subdivision, but a minor subdivision has to be 3 lots or less. This one's 6 lots, so it goes into a major subdivision category. Lots have to be a minimum of 1 acre, which they've obviously met. Their smallest one's 4 acres. Largest one's 25 acres. And as we stated, there's no actual roadways going into the subdivision, which would require city specs for the road. But they did dedicate Lester Road to us, so it's compliant with a major subdivision.
Did anybody come to the planning commission concerned about the ag designation?
No, actually, there's 2 houses that you will see kind of in the vicinity of where this is. Both of those signed a petition in favor of the development.
Okay. Well, my concern is Legends is just to the east of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think Hidden View or Hidden Forest is just to the south of that.
They are, and that's one of the reasons why this is a family-owned property. We know that 3 of the lots will be the family, but 3 lots will be for sale. He wanted to protect himself as well as the others. That's why I put the stipulations, no mobile homes, no chain link fences, and a minimum heated square footage of 2,000 on it. But in terms of it being ag, normally large lot subdivisions want to be in that ER, that ag zoning, just to keep the lots at a low density level.
So will there be any issues with tractor trailer trucks parking there?
No. This is just a standard single-family residential home. The 25-acre lot, which is in the back, is the parents'. They've got a pool, they've got a shop back there, he does woodwork, but it's all his home-based business, and everything's behind the screen fences, so.
Just want to make sure we address it.
No, I understand.
So they need it to be ag in order to do that, right?
Yes.
Correct, it's just a hobby of his. He's at that, without, he's actually a fireman of ours. So, he has a full-time job, and that's just a hobby of his.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, is there any other discussion on 2? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman who?
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries.
Item number 3 is a request for subdivision approval for a section of Cherry Tree South that is accessible by Star Landing Road. It originally had 1,900 square foot minimum and medium density residential on there. The applicant is requesting to keep that. You'll see in that bottom corner between the 2 greenway spots where the drive is off of Star Landing Road, that's the little cluster of homes that we're looking at. The bottom half of that, the applicant is keeping the design the same in terms of the roads, the lot sizes, and minimum house square footage, but he does want to make it a 55 and up community. He is requesting it be gated. We did explain to him the AG opinion on gated subdivisions and maintenance of roads. At first, he wanted them to be private. Now he has opted for a passive gate, which will allow anybody and everybody to access it because he would like the roads to remain public. As stated, in terms of the square footage of the house, square footage of the lots, and the street design, they all comply with the overall PUD Cherry Tree development. And so the only change is he's wanting to do an active senior community at 55 and up.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we approve item number 3 on the planning agenda tonight.
Is there a second? On item 3, we have a motion by Alderman Flores, a second by Alderman Wheeler. Is there any discussion?
So this is at Getwell Road and Star Landing?
It will actually be west of there. If you see where the Life Point campus is,
So
it's going to be west of
the
that.
Life Point
There's a
campus.
construction entrance that they're utilizing to go up into Cherry Tree South. That will be the actual permanent road location for this,
Before the bend in the road.
before the bend, yes.
Okay. And there will be access to Getwell on the north side, right?
You can get through, you can meander through the main subdivision to get there, but the direct access through this is gonna be from Star Landing.
Okay, good. So there'll be a homeowners association? here?
There will be a homeowners association that they're part of the overall one, but there'll also be one just for this, like they've done in so many of our other subdivisions, villages of Brambles. Once they build out the second half, we're making them put an emergency access off the main drive, so they have a second point of access for emergency services. They've agreed to that gated point, and that will be a locked access, which the fire marshal agreed to, but everything inside of here will be maintained by an individual HOA.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Brett,
Yes.
Alderman who,
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries.
Our final application is request for Deer Chase Section J. This is going to be south of Nail Road and west of Getwell. It's 17.8 acres with 66 lots ranging in size from 7,200 to 19,000 plus square feet. It is accessed by existing roadways, and it also has a direct access off of Nail Road. The initial PUD showed a large detention area in this one that was to be used as, I guess, an aesthetic park at the same time. We raised concerns with the maintenance on that simply because there is not a very active HOA over there, and I felt like that was going to become a maintenance issue for the city. So we had them run the hydraulics on it to see if that detention in this area was necessary. It was not. They directed the drainage down to other areas that are already in play for detention, and they added lots into that. We felt like that was a better option for the city, so we wouldn't be maintaining another detention area. The only question that we had brought up in planning commission, it was mainly mine. Nail Road right here is a very large typical section with a boulevard and 2 lanes to the north, 2 lanes to the south. I asked that that decision on that right-of-way typical section be held administratively to talk with with the mayor and also with our city engineers to see the traffic analysis and how much width and roadway was going to be necessary for that. They're agreeable to dedicating the 106. We're just trying to figure out how far to build it out with this section. They did agree to that, and with that, planning commission voted unanimously with those comments.
Mr. Mayor, make a motion that we adopt item number 4, approve item number 4 on the planning agenda tonight.
Second.
On item 4, we have a motion by Alderman Flores, second by Alderman Wheeler. Is there any discussion?
Will they have to, are we gonna have to cut Nail Road?
No, we won't have to cut Nail. I mean, Nail Road obviously is one of our future projects to go all the way
So we're
through.
gonna-
This will stub out at the end, and you'll see right there. It'll stub out at the end of this section just as it does now.
Okay. So basically, the Nail Road ends where it ends now.
Ends where- Well, it'll carry further than where it is now. This is another whole section
Do
that
they
goes
do-
beyond that.
Are they doing anything? Are they building the road or?
They will build, and they will have to, yeah, they'll build the road because they have to gain access to get to this section.
So they're gonna build Nail Road.
And there lies my question of what are we gonna make them build out? What typical section are we gonna make them build out right now? Because we've actually got 106 feet of right of way with 5 lanes in this area. So we just need to determine what the build out's gonna be and what they're gonna do of.
Yeah.
I would say, man, you're gonna do it right first time.
Well, we'll keep that in mind. As Whitney said, Nail Road has plans of a lot of future connectivity. So,
That's correct.
So we definitely want to be conscious of that we,
But any
consider.
help along the way sure would help.
What'd you say?
But any help along the way should.
That's correct, absolutely.
Had to build the road out, had to build Sweeney out.
That's right.
So,
Okay, any other discussion on 4? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brett,
Yes.
Alderman who,
yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries. All right, next on the agenda is mayor's report. Just want to update about several things. First of all, we do need some board action. After the agenda was sent out on Friday, we did get confirmation from MDOT that the project we've been working on for 7 years now. This is a multi-use trail that will connect Central Park and Snowden Grove Park. 10-foot multi-use trail that will come southbound on Tullahoma. It'll go to Central Parkway, then Central Parkway east to Getwell, and then back up to Snowden Grove Park. This, again, I believe the initial application was 2011, correct? All right, so we've had many hangups along the way. We won't get into all that tonight. The great news is that it's approved, so we're ready to go to bid. So tonight, finally, I'm asking for you to authorize us to bid this project.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
So we have a motion by Alderman Gallagher, a second by Alderman Wheeler. Any discussion?
is it a match situation, or we?
It is, it's federal money administered through MDOT. It's 80/20, correct, Whitney?
Correct.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman who?
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries. I think that's the only thing we're gonna need board action. Just to update you on a few things, the Veterans Day Luncheon will be this Friday, November 9th, starting at 11 a.m. It's gonna be at our community safe room that's adjacent to the arena. We have that set up really nicely. We're excited about using that building for the first time for the Veterans Day Luncheon. Veterans are free, but everyone else does need to reserve, correct, Christie? Everyone needs to reserve. And it's $10 for non-veterans, correct? Okay. So anyway, you need to reserve if you're planning on going. This is one of the greatest events the city of Southaven does. Words cannot describe it. If you've never been there to watch the veterans, this is just an awesome. If I had to pick one favorite of all the things I've done as mayor, this is it every year. I look forward to this. So I would encourage everyone to go if you can. The City of Southaven received our third consecutive Government Finance Officers Association Award for Excellence in Financial Reporting. Y'all are aware of this. It's something we've been very proud of. We've gotten it now 3 years in a row. So I don't know if that's ever been done. Maybe it has. I don't want to misspeak, but it's very rare for a municipality or another governmental entity to have this award this many times. It speaks well of two things. First of all, the incredible people we have in our finance department: Edie McElwain, Tish Cox, and Chris Wilson. They do an incredible job with our accounting, but also speaks of the overall mission by this board with transparency, especially as it relates to financial reporting. So I'm very proud of this, and it's something we should all be proud of. So if you will, please congratulate when you can Edie McElwain, Tish Cox, and Chris Wilson. Y'all will know that in a recent meeting, we discussed a request by the county to de-annex a piece of land that's on Star Landing Road west of Highway 51. We tabled that to discuss at a later date. The main concern that existed there was we've been told that it could put the city at risk, from a comprehensive planning standpoint, if you de-annex an area and then come back later and request an annexation. Well, as y'all know, we're having the comprehensive city plan has to be updated every 20 years. We're in the process now of updating the comprehensive city plan. Eventually, that will include some annexation requests. As our city grows, there has to be some long-term planning as it relates to annexation. And so that is a major concern. If it would put us at a disadvantage, that's something that I have serious concerns about. But I don't know that we need board action, or do we need board action to officially decline the request or accept it?
I don't think you need to decline it.
Is there a motion to de-annex the property, I guess, is the appropriate way to do it? Okay, and then we've had another request from the Desoto County Economic Development Council. The Economic Development Council is highly involved in governmental affairs. There's two major trips each year. One, as y'all know, goes to Washington, D.C. To discuss issues from Desoto County with our United States senators and representatives in Washington. It's been a very productive trip over the years. There's another trip to Jackson during the Mississippi State Legislative Session. And both of these, there is cost involved. There has been a request that all the cities in DeSoto County participate with a donation of $500. We don't have to vote on that tonight. I just wanted to let you know that I did get the letter requesting that. As y'all know, that is part of our contribution with our budget. We do give money to the Economic Development Council because it's so important for the recruitment of business and industry to our city. But this would be something that's in addition to that, so I just wanted y'all to be updated that we did get the request and we can put this on another future agenda. Are there any questions about that before I move on? Okay, the next issue that I want to make you aware of, and it's another pending discussion, but many of you may be aware that in the, it's been in the Memphis news back months ago, there was a statement made by the city of Memphis that eventually, due to capacity reasons, that they would request that, that the Horn Lake Creek Basin Interceptor Sewer Service be cut off from Memphis. Since Southaven was formed in the 60s, our sewer has always gone into the Mississippi River. It's gone northbound into Memphis to be treated there. The reason that happened is not just because Southaven started as a unincorporated area. It made sense from an environmental standpoint. The basin declines as you go towards Memphis and into the river. It's graded downward, so it makes sense from an environmental standpoint that the sewer would head that way. So since the existence of Southaven, Mississippi, our sewer has always gone that way. Now there's been some other changes where a part of our city goes to the Hurricane Creek area, so it goes a different direction, but we still have a large part of our city that's serviced by Memphis with the sewer. Well, Memphis made the statement that that they have capacity problems. They're concerned about their ability to attract some developments and to grow in some areas because of the burden, or the, I don't know if burden's the right word, but the number of users from Southaven and Horn Lake. And so they basically, to put it in real simple terms, they basically told us that they're going to cut us off, all right, that we would have 5 years, to make other arrangements. Since that time, obviously this is a tremendous issue. The city's always used that service. It's extremely expensive to have your own treatment facility in the area of like $60 to $80 million. So it's something that we would definitely need federal help with. I've reached out to Mayor Strickland. I've met with him. We have a follow-up meeting that's scheduled for November the 16th. We're hoping that they will change their ideas about this. And if that doesn't happen, then at that point, we'll need to reach out to federal officials and federal agencies, EPA, to find out, what is the most ideal way, to service sewer in the future for the city of Southaven. But it's a major issue. I just wanted you to know it's been going on. We've been having discussions about it. I should know more on November 16th, and then at that point I'll update the board more with that. Are there any questions about that? Okay, and that's all I have this evening. Next on the agenda is our citizens agenda. We did not have anyone register in advance, but we open up the floor. If there's anyone in the audience who would like to speak on the citizens agenda, please come forward. Okay, I don't see anyone this evening. We'll move on to the next thing on our agenda, which is our personnel docket.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we adopt the personnel docket as shown.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Gallagher, a second by Alderman Wheeler. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman who?
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries. Next on the agenda is our city attorney's legal update.
Two quick items. First item is, I just got this in yesterday, guy came in late, the police department just got it as well, but sole authorization for a sole source purchase from Grade Shift for the police department in the amount of $15,030. It's for software for forensics, for doing forensic searches on cell phones. And Grade Shift LLC is a sole source provider of Grade Key, which is the software being purchased. And I got the sole source letter and the quote that be included in the minutes tonight. Just need authorization for that sole source purchase in accordance with 31.713K.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion from Alderman Flores, second from Alderman Wheeler. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman who?
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries.
And then lastly, we have in a previous meeting, we had approved a contract with R.J. Young for the leasing, or the purchase of a copier. At that meeting, they had sent a contract to the leasing of a copier by mistake, and so that contract is into the minutes. But tonight, no action, just letting you know, we'll be entering the purchase agreement that was signed, that was approved into the minutes as opposed to leasing agreement. So no action, just to make sure we had that noted in the minutes. All got it.
Got that, Andrea? Okay. Thank you. Okay, and the next on the agenda is a utility bill adjustment docket.
Yeah, this is something we, under the AG opinion, we need to start doing, and we'll start tonight. We have some utility adjustments in the past that come up when someone has a leak or does not actually receive the service that's being paid for. It's adjustment. So tonight, those are the addresses for the adjustments and the reasoning and the amount on the right-hand side. And so tonight, we need authorization to approve the utility bill adjustments that will be applied going forward, and we'll have these probably consistently almost every meeting going forward. But it's just new. We figured it'd be easier doing them address by address, do one big docket like this with the reasonings and the amounts. So tonight, we need authorization for that to be approved.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Flores, second by Alderman Hoots. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries. Next on the agenda is our claims docket.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we approve the claims docket in the amount of $2,939,108.50, including demand checks.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Flores, second by Alderman Wheeler. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman who?
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
Okay, and that motion carries.
There's a second docket.
Okay.
Oh. Well, we can't approve the second topic.
You can't approve it with, I don't know why it's wrong. I'll find out.
So I can look at agreement this year. Like the next meeting, I guess. I think so. Okay. We'll have to wait till next meeting. We don't have a.
It's both, it's Cooper and
Oh,
Sigma.
we gotta wait till next meeting.
Yeah.
Y'all split those up?
Can you split them up?
I guess you could split them up and do it.
We know what the numbers are?
You guys know what the numbers are.
Give me the numbers, Andrew.
Yeah.
I'll go first.
So you could say authorization of person who drops invoices in the amount, those amount, and the Sigma.
Is there a motion for docket 2?
I make a motion that we approve the special docket for Cougar Chemical in the amounts of, I'm gonna look these up.
Just read the amounts up.
In the amounts of $96.80, $26.95, and $395. Yeah, that's it.
A second.
Okay, on docket 2, we have a motion by Alderman Gallagher, second by Alderman Hoots. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman who?
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries.
This life insurance is goes with the Sigma, right?
Yes.
Right, okay. Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we approve special docket number 2 for Cigna in the amount of $265,894.28 and $16,150.01.
Again, this would be docket 3 though.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, for docket 3, we have a motion by Alderman Gallagher.
Second.
We have a second by Alderman Wheeler. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Okay, and that motion carries. Okay, next on the agenda is to determine the need for executive session.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Flores, second by Alderman Gallagher. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries. The need this evening is potential claims litigation, or not potential, claims litigation against the Southampton Police Department, potential purchase of property by the city, economic development, and then we didn't have this on there, but we can add as long as it's addressed up front. Leasing of city facilities. So is there a motion to declare executive session?
So move.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Flores, second by Alderman Wheeler. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. I'm sorry, Alderman Brooks. Ayes have it. Motion, you went away on me for a minute. Ayes have it, motion carries. The mayor board will now enter executive session.
Somebody. You too. I'm telling you.